So y'all already know that anytime we get a scrap, a crumb, okay, a piece, small, minuscule piece of news about Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon or whatever, I'm gonna be talking about it. And so that's what I'm here to do. So George R. R. Martin sat down with HBO to do this little featurette kind of thing, and it was called Before the Dance, an illustrated history with George R. R. Martin. And it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like him giving the context to what really kicked off the Targaryen Dance of the Dragons and shit, the Civil War. And I'm gonna go through it because I like talking about it, and y'all obviously like hearing it and listening. So that's what we're gonna fucking do. So George R. R. Martin starts this entire thing out by saying that House of the Dragon takes place in 298. So basically, like almost 300 years after Aegon's conquest. Now, I think this is gonna be really cool for me to see, and I think especially because we saw how, even in a lot of the sets that were supposed to be of the city and stuff, like we see dragons everywhere. We see dragon statues. We see dragon on the armor. We see dragons in the Red Keep. So it's just like 300 years of Targaryen rule. I can't wait to see what that looks like, or what that has done, or that did to the culture of King's Landing, to like what the everyday citizens think of Targaryens. You know what I mean? Like, are they cool? Do y'all like them? Y'all hate them? Y'all talking shit, but y'all can't really talk shit in public because they got dragon. You see what I'm saying? So I can't wait to see that. So it obviously takes place a couple hundred years before the events of Game of Thrones. So Jaehaerys Targaryen right here, he was the fourth king in the Targaryen dynasty, and during this time period, first of all, I didn't know this, but because like I said, I'm a very show kind of person, not really book. So I always put that out there because I don't want anyone to have any expectations like, oh, I'm finna dive into the books and chapter by chapter. Like that's not the girl that I am, really. I'm not gonna do that over here. But what I'm saying is, I did not know that he ascended the throne when he was fucking 14 years old. So he had 55 years of rule. Of course, it was a time of peace. Everything was fun and cool, blah 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 blah. But George R. R. Martin says, of course, the seeds of war, like the shit that leads to the Dance of Dragon, all of that is kind of happening during Jaehaerys' rule, even though it was a time of peace. So I'm wondering how much of Jaehaerys we're gonna get. I don't think, from the way that the show is setting up the trailers, from the way that the show is giving us footage, or from what we can see from the footage, I don't think we're gonna get a whole lot of Jaehaerys. I don't know though, because they could be faking us out. You see what I'm saying? But I don't know if we really need a whole lot of Jaehaerys. Even though, like George R. R. Martin said, the context is important. So to see, maybe they'll give us a couple flashbacks. Obviously, we're going to see Harrenhal, obviously, which I think this is another shot we hadn't seen here. But yeah, obviously, we're going to see the Great Council. Obviously, we're going to see Viserys getting chosen as a king. I would love if they focused on Rhaenys' reaction to Viserys getting chosen over her, the queen who never was. I would love to see it. They need to give it to us. But yeah, Viserys was chosen, blah 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 blah. So he goes on to George R. R. Martin goes on to talk about the two biggest players in the Civil War. So we have the Valyrians and the Hightowers, which obviously we know. He starts out with the Hightowers, and here we get some information about the Hightowers. Hightowers are the oldest, or like one of the oldest houses ever. They've been there for thousands of years. They live in Old Town. Now that, of course, if you remember from the show, Old Town is where all the knowledge of Westeros is, kind of, like where the maesters go to train. You got the High Tower there. It was the biggest city in Westeros for a long time. And of course, they rich as hell. So they got some shit going on over there. Now, George R. R. Martin said this too, that the Lord over there, Lord Hightower's ruling over the city, while the younger brother Otto is the hand of the king, and of course we already know that his daughter is Alicent. So I'm wondering, I can't wait to see how the influence of Old Town, the influence of all the maesters, the influence of the knowledge of Westeros plays or affects, of course, Otto, and how that affects the king, or how that affects how Westeros is ruled. Then of course we have the Valerians. House Valerian came from Old Valyria, which is why of course they went through all of that. The actors have to go through all the trouble of putting on them white wigs, Henny. So they actually arrived in Westeros before the Targaryens even came over to conquer that shit, before Aegon even came over. And honestly, I love to see like different houses and stuff, or different groups of people coming from Valyria, because like when you think of Old Valyria, at least for me, when I think of Old Valyria, I automatically think of Targaryens, like automatically. Like that's honestly, sometimes that's the only fucking thing I think about. So I like the fact that we're getting these. I mean, obviously they've been here for a long time, and you know, if you've read the books, you know what's going on. But like, I really love that we get to see like different sides, different groups of people coming from Valyria, and how that I just really want a fucking prequel that talks about the Doom. Like I really want it, and we could get to see like House Targaryen, which is what George talks about next. He talks about how House Targaryen knew the Doom was coming, and like they fled. Right, and they weren't like a huge. I mean, they were a decent house in Old Valyria, but it's not like they was just like towering over everybody in Valyria as they do in Westeros. So he came over there. Aegon came over here and conquered that shit. Now, some people have theorized that Old Valyria, the Doom of Valyria, how it exploded. You already know. Them volcanoes went off and said, "Hey, bitch, even your dragon's getting fucked up." Okay, it destroyed the entire empire. A lot of people think that it could be an inside job. You know, it could have been an inside job. Like, bitch, how y'all know that shit? They said that one of them girls had a fucking dragon dream or some shit, and she told her damn daddy, and they fled. But I would love to see what actually happened in Old Valyria in a fucking prequel. Like, when I say that I need it, dragons were flying around everywhere, like everywhere. I mean, I want to see when Valyria was at the height of its fucking power. I need to see it, and I need to see what happened. I need to see, because like if you look here, it says here, let me just read it. The Doom of Valyria, an eruption of all the 14 flames, destroyed the Valyrian freehold. We already know that. Most believe the Doom was a natural catastrophe, although some, such as Barth, believe the volcanoes ceased to be restrained by Valyrian magic. Some believe that the fires of the 14 flames were controlled by mages, but too many of the mages were assassinated when the dragon lords fought each other. And also, Old Valyria had a bunch of slave labor. It's just like every other, or a lot of other empires. In general, it looks pretty on the outside, dragons flying everywhere, you know, everybody eating, everybody, you know, people, prosperity all over the place. But underneath that shit, they had slave labor working in the fucking mines. So it's just like, I just need to see what happens. And it's just like all these houses who survived it, I would love to see how they're like what they're doing today, is how it's like influenced from their ancestors. House Valerian has kind of always been pretty high in the councils. This is what George R. R. Martin said, pretty high in the councils of like House Targ, like the ruling house. His grandfather was master of ships before him, so it's gonna be cool to see like House Valerian and Targaryen interacting. And then also, well, we got some new landscape shots here. I'm so happy. Let's eat it up. Let's take it all in. And also, one of the last quotes here from King Viserys, because we get more of his quote. So he says, "Dragonstone is one thing, but the Iron Throne is the most dangerous seed in the realm." So, like I said, I think I did say this before, but I can't wait to see like Rhaenyra's personality, and because it seems to me like the way that the King Viserys keeps talking to her, it seems to me that she's very eager to sit on that hoe. I mean, everybody wants the throne, but she in particular, it seems like he's like, yo, I get that you're excited. I understand that I'm training you to be queen, but you need to slow your ass down. Like, please, like they already coming for my wig, my Targaryen HBO wig. They're going to come for yours too, Rhaenyra. Like, you need to stop, like, chill out. You know, like, as much as everyone wants it, as much as it's so coveted, it is dangerous to play the Game of Thrones. Like Cersei says, sweetie, you either prevail or you're going to be 6 feet under. That's it. Maggots are going to be chewing on your bones, on your flesh, honey. So yeah, that was really it. I cannot wait for this to come out. Y'all already know. I can't wait for this to come out. I hope y'all have a great day, and I will catch you all later.